Hi everyone, Grand Rising. So today let's talk about Europe and more especially is it Trinidad Jonas because I know a few Ghanaians will insult him like this guy is crazy, he's mental, why does he sit in Europe and insult African leaders, especially Ghanaian leaders and all that. But listen, truth be told, Europe is Europe, America is America. No matter what we do, in as much as we love ourselves, our culture, our country, our African continent and all that, Europe is still Europe. I first went to Europe in 2008, but I was a strong Griffith girl. And I remember when my visa and everything was ready, I went to church crying, thanking God. I'm like, oh, Jesus, thank you. And all that. Finally, I'm going to Europe. And then I got on the plane, I got to Norway, I touched down, and my first impression was like, wow, this is heaven. Such a big airport, big space, spotless, nice place. And by then we still had this impression that the whites were like gods and all that. So I'm seeing a lot of white people. I'm like, wow, what a beautiful country and people and all that. It's like the system is working on part 24/7 because you keep on seeing this train schedule timetable popping up. You see everything being announced. You see machines everywhere. That was the first time I saw a machine where you could just slot money inside, some coins, and press a bell, and then a drink or a snack will fall out. I'm like, and for me at that point, we had a student coordinator because I went there on a scholarship, so we didn't have to go through the bus. So our student coordinator came for us in her private car, and then for the first time, I went through a road without traffic, and the lanes were just so beautiful. It's like they just went non-stop. I'm like, wow, we have such countries in the world. The system is working 24/7. And then she dropped us at our hostel. And the first time, it's like I had a room to myself. When my key was handed over to me, I'm expecting this bunch of keys. But no, it was a card. And with just the swipe of the card on your door, the door beeps. Ping. And then there's this green lights and your door opens, you get inside. And I'd been trying this for a while. So after 1 week of stay, one day I was like, let me just try go out without the key and see how foolish I was, Christian girl. And I was locked outside. It was cold and took some hours for the security company to finally come and open the door for me. But let me tell you some of the things in my room. I had access to a stove, an oven, basically full one to myself for the first time. I had access to a mini fridge. And the stove has, these ventilators where the vapor rise up. In fact, my room was like a mini hotel room in Ghana here, kind of a luxury. I had an inbuilt wardrobe. I had a bed with bed sheets. I had furniture. I had study table. I had dining table. And my washroom was like, wow, for the first, and the lights. Seriously, Europe is Europe, and the system is working 24/7. I remember on one occasion, I went on the train and we're stuck somewhere. They actually sent buses come and pick us to our various destinations. The system is working 24/7. And in Europe, you can actually get a bus or train pass for a whole month. You just pay some money, and the whole month you can go on any bus or any train. That I know there are discriminations, and a lot of Africans talk about discrimination in Europe. But listen, if it were that bad, most of you would have packed your bags and come to Africa. And many say, well, the African system is still not good. When we come, where are we going to stay? What business? The system is tight and all that. Yes, it's because of that you are still stuck in Europe. Because no matter what we do, the system is still working 24/7. The buses are always on time, the trains are on time. If for any reason any of them have to delay, you always see the announcements on the board. It's like the system gives you ample time to prepare for everything. I remember even as a student where maybe it was Marian University I got it like that, but we had access to free bicycles to help us move around. At the train station, you can lock your bicycles. It was later that I was about to leave that we had a lot of these immigrants, especially from the Arab countries, and those people were rowdy. And also, you leave your bicycle at the train station, you return and it's not there, somebody has taken. But for me, I was able to use the same bicycle throughout my 2 years that I was there. You know, you could walk into any supermarket and get all the things you want, your drinks, your food. My greatest impression had to do with their supermarkets. I mean, it's like here, when it rains, you can't even visit some of our markets. You can't even get a place to park. It is a problem in Africa. The markets where we eat from, when it rains, the place is like a dumping site, gutter. It's like when these market women sell the produce and some are even getting rotten and spoiled and bad, they don't even have proper places to dispose them of. The markets are so choked, your car could be stuck in traffic. So I mean, for me, if I'm driving and I'm going to main Accra Central, I don't want to go with a car. But in Europe, you don't even have to worry about cars because the train systems are working, buses, everything are working to the extent that you can just go with a trolley or something. And even to get on the train and the buses, it's easy because they have leveled platforms where you can always get your things on a bus or a train. So listen, the system is working 24/7. If it were not so, Africans will not still be taking visas to go to Europe. And we know the Europeans also come here, but mostly because they've seen something they can exploit, and so they get them. I mean, whether it's our natural resources and all that, so they can take back, process them, and resell them back to us. If the system was not working, we will not be buying second-hand goods and fridges, all those parts and all that. The system is working. Even most of their second-hands look way better than our freshly processed things. And for me, I always think about our markets. I'm like, wow, how can we enhance beauty in our market systems? You know, sometimes you go into the bank and right in front of the bank, you are seeing a food vendor, you're seeing some seller, some weird dress. Is it because Africa is overpopulated? Seriously, I don't understand. And I feel it all boils down. Our leaders, we always say. But for me, in as much as I saw all these beautiful things, it didn't really motivate me to stay there. One, the weather was so harsh for me. Secondly, language barrier, and I felt like, I'm basically let me go back. At least in my country, I can speak English. And the system is working. The underground trains, the supermarkets, their food joints, their roads, their beautiful lawns. And even for the roads, we had those bicycle ways, so it's not a case that you have a bicycle, you're riding here. You can't just ride bicycle anywhere. If you're not careful, some truck driver pin just knock you off and you're down, But there, they make room and provisions for everybody. There were community playgrounds where you could take your children on parks. And it was even beautiful, even in those harsh weather conditions. I thought that, when it snowed, they used the snow to so much advantage. They had ice skating rinks, where people could just come in their skating shoes and skate all over. So listen, if Jonah says the system is working 24/7, it is working. It is the honest truth. And it surprises me that people who live in Europe will still think this guy is crazy. The guy is just speaking the truth. And I see a lot of people taking pictures of dirty environments in Europe and trying to say counter-react what Jonas is saying. But I realize that most of these dirty places you see in Europe either accommodate drug addicts, what they call junkies, whatever, and people who are not trying to fit into the system and its ways. So eventually you may not have jobs and be able to take care of yourself. I realize that most of these places are a place for immigrants and not the real citizens of the place. Because when I was in Norway, at a point in time, shortly before I leave there, they had opened up immigration laws and they were allowing a lot of immigrants, especially from Middle East, the war-torn zones, to come in. And when you go to communities that were dirty, it's basically these people who you will see. But at the end of the day, you realize some countries have their laws, and so when you get into their system without going through their proper channel, then if you're not careful, you are left on the streets with no proper accommodation and how to take care of the environment and all that. So eventually you see such slums. I've seen at least a picture from France and US, yes, where people live on the street like just all that kind of life. But at the end of the day, the system is really working. And as much as it's working, for me, I really didn't fancy living in Europe, because I felt like if we can put in the same measures they put into their system, we can equally make Africa a great place to live in. It's like on a day, we spend so much even on our transport systems, because sometimes you sit through a vehicle and probably you just have to make a little stop, do something, and continue on your journey. Let's say the full fare is 5 cedi, but at the first stop you are paying like 3 cedi, and if you are not lucky, if you have to take a bus from that same place and continue, you end up paying the same 3 cedi again. So eventually you pay 6 cedi instead of the 5 cedi you're supposed to be. Whereby in Europe, when you buy a ticket within like 1 hour, you can use it to make as many rounds as you want, provided you stay within that confinement, but Africa can't get like that. When fuels are increased, drivers increase their transport fares as and how they like, without consideration of the masses. In Europe, one thing I noticed is that most of the times when you bought from the shops, a price that could be rounded to 500, usually they'll make it like 599. I still never understood that science, so that you could take some pennies home, and that's 111, those brown small pennies. But I remember in Ghana, when that system was trying to be introduced, a lot of people were angry, and so eventually people would just run off their prices. So something that was like 2 cedi, instead of probably taking it to 2 cedi 20 pesos, because of those small coins that will be on it, people don't want to handle small coins. They just round it off to 2 cedi 50 pesos or 3 cedi. So you realize that at the end of the day, Africa, which is a developing country where people don't have much, we're actually paying more for everything. And it's like almost every 3 months, prices of items get to be increased. When I was in Europe, the whole 1 year, I never saw any price increase until it was 1 year. I returned to Ghana for a short stay. I went back, and then it was just like 1 pence, 2 pence, just minute increment, and all because their system is working. So they get to cushion everybody. But here, the system is not working. So, there you rent a place and you can give advance of 3 to 6 months, and the rest be paying in every month or monthly installment. But here, you want to rent a place, bam, 2 years. That is utiaye ye crown 1 year, they take it. So you see, people are always struggling. There you could get a car used for a few months, return it, and swap for another car. Here, if you don't have money, you can't buy a car. So you can never compare Europe to Africa, but I just feel we can do more, we can work with ourselves and make our system work too. But even though it's a long process from now, I see a new Africa where people are waking, people are smart, and people are learning to do new things for the community. Long live Africa, long live our continent.